With the highly anticipated Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney matchup fast approaching in April, I find myself really worried about whether this fight is even going to go forward. When you look at a lot of things that's been going on the past week and a half when it comes to Ryan Garcia and all the different cryptic things he's been saying, the sort of mental outbursts he's been having on social media with certain prominent figures in the social media field, it really strikes me as a little bit of worrisome, strikes me as odd when it comes to him. And it really worries me. I really don't believe this fight is going to happen. I think it wouldn't shock me if within a week or so that Ryan gets, taken off of the card and he gets replaced with a different fighter, because I just don't see how this fight can go forward. How is he even training right now? I mean, I think from what I've seen from videos, he seems to be in a mental institute or some sort of hospital or something like that. And I would know, I worked at a hospital, I know what 5150s do, and 24 72-hour holds and things like that for psychiatric evaluation. And you're not allowed to use your phone, you're not allowed to any sort of inanimate objects, you gotta stay in bed. But when you look at stuff that's been going on with him, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's following those rules at all. But me bringing all of that stuff up to say I know what a 5150 looked like, and a lot of stuff he's saying, like I said, is off the wall and crazy. And it's clear he's just going through something, man. I don't know what it is. It's sad to see. He seems like a guy, when I listen to his interviews, like the one he had on First Take where he was talking with Stephen A. Smith and Devin, going back and forth with Devin Haney, he seemed like a dude that just seemed like he was drunk. Didn't seem to be mentally all the way there. Just seemed like he was a little bit out of it. He's got facial hair now. He's always seemed to be a clean-cut individual. You see him with a beard, scruffy beard now, where it's just, he seems like he's not taking care of himself. But like I said, I don't know the guy personally. I mean, none of us do. But when you just watch him, he seems like a dude who's not taking care of himself physically anymore. And mentally, like I said, I mean, going on Andrew Tate's podcast, screaming and saying all types of off the wall wild shit. Seems like he needs some real mental help. And I don't know if the dude takes some type of medication. He probably doesn't, but who knows? Maybe he does, and maybe he's just off of it right now. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look for his family. It's not a good look for the sport. And it's just sad all the way around. I'm not one of these people that come on here and try to bash a guy for going through something. People were trying to make it seem like it was an act, and it's just, you see his family coming out saying it's not an act. You see even former rivals like Rolly Romero coming out saying it ain't no act, and it's just sad all the way around. When it comes to this upcoming matchup between them two, I mean, I was leaning Devin anyway in terms of who was going to win this fight, but to me, it doesn't even matter anymore. I mean, but hopefully now, between here and, in the next couple weeks before the bout, maybe he can get himself in the right mental space, but I just don't see it, man. I'm not a guy who likes to be overly pessimistic, but I don't see it, It's just too many red flags has been going on. Even if you want to be one of the people who feels that it could be a ploy, it could be some type of mental strategy to try to get some advantage, I just don't see somebody publicly embarrassing themselves to this level and to this degree this much as some type of mental strategy. I don't see it like that at all. I think this is just a dude who's really going through something. And it's weird that it seems to be fighters that go through stuff after they lose a fight or they lose their first loss, they have their first professional loss. Adrian Boner, even though I'm not trying to compare Ryan Blaney specifically to him, but it's kind of a similarity in terms of their first loss, how they took it and how they acted afterwards, and just the nonsense and the clear mental issues that they both suffer from. It's clear as day. I think Ryan was a little bit of the same person after he lost, but he seemed to be going through a downward spiral when it comes to dealing with his mental problems, along with probably some level of drug use and alcohol use, clearly. But it kind of, piggybacks into a different type of topic when it comes to these fighters and when it comes to them taking losses. I don't feel like all of them, some take losses better than others, obviously. As I just said earlier, when it came to Broner and come to Ryan Garcia, Earl Spence, I felt took his loss a lot better. He's not going through no mental issues, at least that we know of, anything like that. But you know, when it comes to certain these fighters that take losses, it just seems like they don't seem to be the same person after they have their shield, you know, broken a little bit, you know, mentally and physically. Seem to just become a little bit different. And Floyd, I mean, like I said, Floyd Mayweather has created this paradigm of being this great undefeated champion in the sport, and built the business of being an undefeated champion, wanting to see somebody beat you. It just seems like when it comes to these promoters and everything along those lines, it seems like once you lose a fight, lose a couple fights, which, I mean, when it comes to Ryan Garcia, it seems like that's where he's headed to if he does fight Devin Haney coming up here in April. I don't see any way that Ryan wins this fight unless he gets lucky, lands a left hook punch, but I don't see that happening. I just think Devin's too skilled, too smart, and just too physically gifted to fall for any of those tricks and those ploys. You know, he's too gifted, and I don't think Ryan's gonna pose much of a threat, you know, outside of the first maybe 4 rounds of the fight. That's just a small little prediction of what I think could happen. I mean, it's not really that big of a prediction. Most people have Devin Haney as the favorite. It's just clear as day. But like piggybacking again off the point I was trying to make, when these guys seem to lose fights, it just seems like the promoters kind of treat them like pieces of meat. I mean, they just get rid of them. They act like they don't exist. They put them to the back burner. It's not the new toy anymore, the old toy, and that's incredibly sad. I've always been a believer that guys like Ryan Garcia, or well, not Ryan Garcia, but just guys who lose fights or are no longer champions, no longer prominent figures with the promoters, or just prominent figures in the sport of boxing, like that's where you want to check in on these guys. When they no longer have the limelight on them, when they no longer have all the money and the fame, how are they then? You know, how is their brain? How is their CTE problems? They're physically, mentally, how are they during that time period? You should be focusing on those guys then, and what's going on with their lives then, because that's when they really truly need it. When it comes to, like I said, just piggybacking again off the circus that's been going on with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, and a lot of out of character things that Garcia's been doing, like I said, in the lead up to this fight and everything that's going on with it, I find myself wondering, like, you know, what the hell is Al Heyman? What the hell is these guys like De La Hoya? What are they thinking in terms of them promoting the fight? What are they thinking going forward? Are they really gonna allow this guy who seems to be going through a mental disturbance to go through with fighting probably one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet right now, Devin Haney? Like, are they just gonna allow this dude to get fed to the wolves per se, or are they gonna step in and either get him some true mental health to make sure he's all right, to try to get him in the right mental capacity so he's able to step in there with Devin Haney, or just change the the guy and opponent that Devin Haney is fighting and put this fight towards the back burner and until Ryan Garcia can get the help that he needs. But that's all I got when it comes to this crazy circus between these two, more so on Ryan Garcia's side. But thank you guys all for watching, and as always, until we meet again.